If you have not heard about this concept called tendon neuroplastic training, it's from the work of Dr. Ebony Rio, a brilliant researcher. And what she has found is that in people with chronic tendon issues, there is a dysregulation in what's called cortical activation. So in other words, our brain has to tell our muscles what to do. And sometimes the level of activation or the timing of activation becomes problematic in people with chronic tendon issues. Through her research, has come up with this really elegant solution that she's now proven in a couple of different papers, that if we use an outside timing source as we are doing basic strengthening exercises, it basically requires the brain to pay a little bit more attention. It drives more cortical activation and improves the motor timing. You're going to use metronomes for people doing strengthening exercises. Utilizing outside sources of timing requires the brain often to work harder. Whenever we do that, we can see changes throughout the musculoskeletal system in terms of pain and performance. So the basic exercises are going to be driven by the use of a metronome. Now, I have a lot of different metronomes. This is my favorite one. This one's called Pro Metronome. You can see it. And what this is now currently set at is 20 beats per minute. Right? So if I turn it on, it's just going to be playing in the background. 20 beats per minute is really, really slow. If I'm doing a strengthening exercise, that's going to give me a 3-second eccentric, 3-second concentric version of the exercise. So in most of Dr. Rio's research, we've seen that 3, maybe 4-second concentric, eccentric exercises seem to be really effective. But remember, it's being driven by the metronome. So the way that you would set this up generally is you take the arm, brace it. Usually people do this over a table or a bed. And if we were doing wrist flexions, we would start at the bottom, and now I'm thinking about the metronome. So when I hear it go on the next beat, 2, 3, 2, 3. So right now I'm kind of counting in my head, but really what I want to do is follow the rhythm of the metronome. In a studio setting, I would have the metronome up so that the client could be watching the bar move, because we have the visual as well as the auditory stimuli. Both matter. Typically 15 repetitions of that, and then I'm going to take a break. So your 2 exercises would be wrist flexions and extensions. Notice that I'm letting my fingers curl just a little bit, and I'm including them in the motion. The other one then would be pronation. Now, with the pronation exercise, yes, you can use a little dumbbell. It may be more effective to use something like a hammer so that I'm actually getting more weight toward the outside. But I would again be following the same 3-second concentric, 3-second eccentric rule. If you want to get very excited about it, when you're at the end of the eccentric, you can also add in an isometric hold. How many repetitions I do, etc., is less important than the idea that I'm going to be utilizing the metronome. So if I again bring it in, you can see that as it's running, there's a moving bar. And as I said, whenever we're doing metronome style work, I think it's very, very useful to have both the visual and auditory component based on how the brain processes information. So these tools are fantastic for increasing local tissue capacity by utilizing increased and hopefully improved brain control of the problematic area. And they go, yeah, that's a 7. And then I can just have them do 10 to 15 repetitions of the wrist curl and then some resisted pronation without the metronome. And then I have them go back and test. And sometimes they're like, oh, it's better. And sometimes they'll go, didn't make any change, or it's even worse. And then immediately test them utilizing the metronome. And we may see 3 to 5 point drops in their pain levels, simply because we're increasing brain activation by utilizing this outside tool.